Hey folks, Jang here from ultimaterc.com with a look at the first set of upgrades to my Axial Wraith. This is now becoming a project. I'm going to be turning this thing into something that behaves a little bit differently than it did in stock form, and I've already started making some changes to it. So I wanted to take you through them and just give you an idea of what I've done with it and where I'm going with it. And first of all, I've been very happy with this this truck, but what I really want to do now is open it up to higher performance at speed. It's doing really well as a basic crawler now, but I want to get more high-end speed out of it. So what I'm going to be doing is focusing first on function and worry about form stuff later. So you'll see there's a lot of stuff that I've taken off and just won't be worrying about as far as details of appearance just yet. However, one exception to that is this new set of tires. I got the Proline Super Swampers, and those are a scale tire. They're not a high performance cop crawling tire. It's a very, very excellent replica of the real tires from Interco. And these are in a pretty soft, the G8 compound. Again, these are from Proline. And what I've just done is stuck them on some old beadlock wheels that I've had for quite a long time, just some cheapies, some plastic ones that I got off of eBay. These are G-made plastic three-piece beadlocks. They work really well. They do the job. So I figured I would just use those while I play around with different setups. Put some weights in there. This time I put 6 ounces of weight per front wheel, and then on the rear I put 3 ounces per side. So a total of 6 ounces in the rear, a total of 12 ounces or 3/4 of a pound up front via just regular full-size car wheel weights wrapped around the inside. Now for inserts up front, because I had such a thick amount of weights, I didn't use lead. I used the new standard steel ones that are a lot more friendly to the environment and to people and such. So it had a little bit of thickness in there, so I used just the stock soft memory foams at the front, but at the rear, where I had a little bit more room to get a little bit more firmness out of it, I used Proline's two-stage foam. So they're firm on the inside, and then they have the memory foam on the outside. Now the stance of the truck has been changed a little bit, and there's a lot that has gone into that. Not sure if you can see it here readily, but it has a little bit of a cab forward thing going on right now, or it kind of looks like it's leaning forward just a little bit. That's because I've actually moved the lower chassis back, or depending upon how you want to look at it, I moved the upper chassis, the whole roll cage and such, forward by one hole down here where the two sets connect. I'm going to go ahead and open things up a little bit to show you exactly why I did that. First off, right here I've just added in these little thumb screw knob things that come off really easily. I just have a couple screws that I threaded through so that I have access to the hood without having to get a driver set out. And that should need to make those holes a little bit bigger. But that pops up, and there you see there's a little bit different about this compared to the stock Wraith. All the electronics that are normally up here in stock form have been moved away. There's normally a bar, a chassis brace support that comes across here and has 2 prongs that go down there. You've got normally the speed control is right here, and the radio box, weather resistant radio box is there. From the very first time that I opened up the Wraith box, when I first got it, I looked at the space up front, and then I looked at the space at the rear, and I said, why did they mount the battery at the back when you can mount it up front? So once I got to getting into the modifications, I started to make that happen. I was just going to mount the battery just straight across right here, because there's enough room for it. You just have to rig up a different, slightly different setup for holding down the battery box itself. But then when I got to looking at it a little bit more, I realized that I could put the battery actually down lower here by putting it in at an angle. Just had a little bit of problem of running into the spur gear cover, the slipper cover out here. So that's actually that right there is why I ended up moving the chassis around. So I moved the whole, moved all this upper frame forward, or moved the lower frame rearward, so that I have more of a gap right in here where I could just kind of put this down. This is the stock battery box from the rear, and I just mounted it diagonally. And it's just a couple screws that come in from the side, and it's just mounted or bolted directly up to the sides of the frame rail. It's kind of sitting on a couple of frame rails down on the bottom also. And I still have access to getting in there. I think I'm actually going to cut off this tab right here because it's really not doing anything at this point, just to make it a little bit easier to rotate that battery up and take it through. It works right now, but just like I said, to make it easier, a little bit more convenient. Then all the electronics, you could move all the electronics just to the rear, just do a swap, move the battery to the front, electronics to the rear, but I left that open, and instead, for now, since I have the interior obviously is taken out, which by the way saved about I think it was 6.5 ounces of weight up high without even having a driver figure in there. So there's a lot of weight, especially in those nice looking scale seats, and all that weight is up high, so that takes away from performance also. Like I said, I'll have to come back and figure out how to get some scale realism back into this vehicle later on, but for now I'm leaving that out. I also took the functioning light sets out, and I just replaced the receiver box right here on the side. I just have a little plate of Lexan resting directly on the frame rails, and then I've upgraded my electronics now. So I'm using a Castle Creations Mamba Max Pro, and for motor, I've got this motor that I got quite a long time ago just for experimentation. It's a Novak Ballistic crawler motor. I believe it's an 18 turn on this one. It's a very slow revving little thing. They do come slower than that, but I just wanted to try it out because it is a crawler motor. It is censored. Just wanted to try it out, see what I can get out of it, see if I can get the performance that I want with that motor. If I can't, then hopefully there's enough room. If there's not enough room, I'll try to figure out a way to make room to put in my big Ballistic 550. If that doesn't work, then well, I'll look at other options for something that has a little bit higher kV rating. But since I have such a slow motor in there and I still want to get some speed out of this thing, I'm using a 3-cell Racer's Edge LiPo pack, and it's a 2-cell sized one, so it's only 3,400 milliamp hours. But it's very convenient that it fits into the normal size. If you're wondering what this thing is, this is an old original Universal BEC or UBEC. That's one of, I think that's probably the second series that was ever released of UBECs. I got that many years ago when they were still a fairly new phenomenon, when brushless motors for land vehicles were also still a pretty new phenomenon. And I think that's about it for now, because I did move the chassis. The front shock is stood up a little bit more. I moved it back a hole to try to take some of that away, but it's still not exactly where I would want it to be. The rear one was laid down too much, so I moved it back to the rearmost hole. Still not the original geometry, but I'm not of the school that says that just because something is different from the ready-to-run form means it's bad. So I'm actually going to just try it out as it is right now before condemning it for being different, and just see how it works, because it seems like it still has similar characteristics of how stiff it feels and how much articulation I get out of the vehicle. Of course, my weight balance is completely different now, but I think this right here is where I'm going to leave it for right now, and I'm going to go ahead and get that battery charged. It's a brand new battery, and see how this runs. I was enjoying the truck very much as it was, but was ready to go on to the next stage. I do not have a name for this project yet, but if you guys have followed my projects in the past, you have seen Chimera A. This is sort of a Chimera B. I'm not going to call it Chimera B, but it's basically doing the same thing. It's, again, like Chimera A, trying to create a single vehicle with a single motor that uses a single standard size battery that's lightweight, roughly 10th scale size, that will be a all-weather, all-terrain basher that can drive at a fairly decent speed and also be able to handle some really rough terrain, you know, some trail driving and stuff like that. Chimera A started with an independent suspension platform and tried to make it act more like a solid axle truck. Now I've got a solid axle vehicle. I'm gonna make it, or try to make it, act a little bit more like an independent suspension vehicle, of just handling higher speeds and just being more stable, and yeah, see how it goes. So thanks for watching. I will be keeping you guys updated as I come up with new things, and of course from the first time that I drive this, I will be sharing the driving videos of it as it continues to evolve, because I guarantee you by the time it is done, it is not going to look like this. Although I do really like these tires, I might end up sticking with those. But wheels, got to figure out something to do with, you know, getting some realism back into the cabin and stuff like that. But thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already on YouTube. It's Ultimate RC Network, and I will be seeing you, of course, on the friendly forums at ultimaterc.com. Bye-bye.